Selamat datang di Country Cita Bangsa, where we instill dream and bridge opportunities. Hari ini welcome back di episode kita ke-8. Yeay, episode 8. Dan sekarang kita ada guest speaker, Fiona Erika, or Fiona. That is a very good friend of mine. Yay! Dan di sini ada, as usual, Chris Tasha, or Tasha, and Audrey, our content creator. And yeah, so a short introduction of Fiona. Dia marketing manager untuk Kayati dengan background in psychology. So yes, before we start, can you explain first gimana how your upbringing make you decide untuk memilih psychology?
Okay. So hi everyone, my name is Fiona, and aku dibesarkan di keluarga Christian. My parents dua-duanya pendeta di gereja gitu. Jadi mereka udah kebiasaan dengan counseling, dengan ketemu orang banyak gitu. Jadi kalau misalnya aku dari kecil itu selalu ngikut-ngikut mereka kayak untuk counseling sama orang. Terus mereka selalu cerita-cerita tentang kayak human behaviors and a lot of those things. Jadi pas aku mulai high school terus disuruh pilih kan kayak major apa nih untuk uni dan college. Aku langsung kayak the first thought itu langsung psychology kayaknya. Soalnya itu yang paling interesting dan paling menarik aja gitu. Yang aku kayaknya passionate untuk belajar lebih banyak. So that's why I chose psychology. I mean, soalnya yang paling menarik.
Dan aware pas kecil udah praktek ya? Soalnya kalau ini ada counseling, you're like, okay,
tahu lah dikit-dikit.
That's true. Nah, as your parents kan you say, mereka kayak itu pendeta di gereja. Are they supportive gitu of your decision untuk take psychology?
They're really supportive sebenarnya.
That's good.
Yeah, really good. I think I'm lucky to have like really supportive parents. Dan mereka juga dari awal kayak lebih push gitu sih kayak psychology karena di Indonesia apalagi ya kayak belum banyak kayak untuk di bidang psikologi. Dan waktu aku mulai kuliah pertama kali itu masih kayak very taboo to go to like a psychiatrist or like a psychologist. Jadi kayak mereka lumayan supportive di bidang itu kayak karena melihat Indonesia juga sangat membutuhkan sebenarnya.
Yeah.
Jadi kayak untuk supportive sih, thankfully they're really supportive.
Okay, that's good. Nah, jadi kan mungkin kan pasti viewers dengar marketing manager. Jadi kita sebenarnya mau lebih discuss di pas Fiona belajar dan psychology dan akhirnya tiba-tiba ke bidang marketing. Nah, first we want to ask dulu, nah pas ini nih when you're in studying psychology dan juga sempat nggak kerja dulu di bidang psychology and what you experience in school dan gimana itu comparison dengan yang apa yang mau belajar dan apa yang dipraktek dan juga gimana tiba-tiba ke marketing gitu ya. Cuman kayak lebih tahu apa gitu bedanya viewers kita ya mau psychology gitu dan juga experience pernah kan experience di bidang psychology ya. Please help us explain ya.
Okay. It's quite of a long journey.
Yeah.
Tapi pas I took psychology, graduated after 4 years, terus langsung masuk kerja. Pertama kali kerja itu as a behavioral therapist for children with autism. Jadi aku kerja as a RBA, Research Behavioral Analysis untuk anak-anak yang kebutuhan khusus juga gitu. Worked there for 1 year. It was a really fun experience karena kayak pertama kali pakai major yang aku baru belajar terus gitu langsung dipraktekin kan. And what I see is like working in that environment day after day, really kind of like being surrounded by all my coworkers yang juga ambil psychology and in the same page gitu. Kayak bener-bener terasa dan terlatih juga gitu untuk apa yang aku baru belajar. And I really enjoyed it. I love kids. And so treating and working with these children was really rewarding for me. And untuk psychology-nya, I worked for 1 year sama mereka, sempat ambil certificate juga untuk bisa do the therapy. And habis itu around, I think after the year end, I didn't have my contract untuk diperpanjang. Jadi pokoknya harus balik Indo karena my working permit cuma 1 tahun gitu. Habis lulus. Nah, dari situ baru balik Indo. And then I came back. And awalnya sih mau mikir-mikir kayak, okay, I want to apply for work again, balik ke US atau di mana. Tapi after a few months I was back, the pandemic happened. The pandemic had stuck here. So I got stuck here. Tapi I want to say like stuck was it was a blessing in disguise as well. I think so I have a family business, the Kaya Tea, that's where I'm working now. Di situ I sempat kerja dan bantu-bantu dulu awal-awalnya. Tapi at the end, it's like I was meant to stay here and meant to work here, and I really enjoyed the job gitu sih.
That's good.
Yeah.
Were there any like similarities between like the field that you're working in, like marketing right now? Did you take any like wisdom from your psychology major and like implement it in your field?
Yes. So there's a lot of similarities in terms of like marketing, I think. Apalagi kalau misalnya kita lihat human behaviors, right? Like marketing is like targeted to like society and how like people think. Ada similarities that a lot of things that I can implement gitu dari psychology terus dibawa ke marketing, itu bisa sih. Banyak kayak kalau mau posting ini misalnya di social media atau apa, kayak what would intrigue people, what would people think, even like different colors, like color palettes and stuff, itu kayak apa yang lebih menonjol untuk market gitu-gitu. Hal-hal seperti itu yang I learned juga in psychology. And also I guess the tactics and how to target all these markets, But in terms of my career, yang pas I kerja di bidang behavior, it's really different because I work with kids and I did therapy and teaching them how to like communicate better and how to blend in into society. Kalau itu mungkin agak sedikit sangat berbeda sih sebenarnya sama yang kerjaan sekarang ini gitu.
So why did you choose to take the job that you're in now instead of like pursuing a therapist job here in Indo and like continuing with your psychology major?
And it's a very good question. So I think kalau mau dibilang, the main reason why I haven't pursued it is because I was actually a bit exhausted after that first year. I did behavioral therapy. Yes, that's because like even though the job itself is very rewarding, but I felt exhausted by the end of it, and I wanted to take the break. Okay, so I never really thought I want to drop it or anything. Like I really like the job and I enjoy working it. Tapi I wanted to take a break, and when I took the break, I went back to Indo, bantu in the family business, Kawati, doing this marketing, and I end up really enjoying it. And I really end up seeing, because what I do is I also do the designs for these like gift boxes for the tea, and it's kind of like my creativity come to life, which I really enjoy as well. And seeing how like the world of business, which is so new to me, something I never learned before. I had to like really learn from scratch because I've never known anything about business before. Jadi kayak pas mulai di Kayati itu kayak start from zero, kayak I do the packaging, small packaging, understanding vendors, understanding this and that. And I really enjoyed it. And then because of the pandemic juga, I tried to apply sih sebenarnya beberapa kayak psychology job, tapi kayak the doors were just not opened for me. And so I just end up just pursuing what I've been doing, and tambah lama tambah enjoy aja gitu. Jadi kayak until now,
I think it shows kayak doesn't mean you take one thing, you're stuck in that thing. Malah actually you can use your background to
explore the entire opportunities. Yeah.
for sure.
Was it hard for you to transition? Like, because you were so new to the world of business, how did you like learn all the new skills, all the new like knowledge that you have to gain?
Yeah, it was really hard.
Yeah.
Pertama itu susah banget untuk transition. Not only transition in my work, but also kayak transition balik kan dari US, balik ke Indo, transitioning, living back with my parents,
Yeah.
with my family around. And at the same time, I had to learn something that I've never learned before. And also, I guess the setting of the role itself, my parents gave me the freedom of, okay, you in charge marketing, terserah mau kerjain apa aja gitu, kayak mau be creative, you want to do this, you have the freedom and the platform to do it gitu, which gave me a lot of challenges. Soalnya pas I kerja as a behavioral therapist, I was under someone and like dituntun gitu, kayak di guide dikit-dikit kayak okay, these are your tasks, you do this. And now going back, pertama harus belajar semua itu, habis itu I have the freedom, it's like udah terserah lu ngapain aja gitu. And at first that was such a hard adjustment karena kayak harus belajar terms bisnis gitu. Terus belajar juga kayak product knowledge juga kan. Terus cari-cari vendors. Terus the way they do business in Indo juga beda dari kayak business di luar gitu. Jadi kayak all these things yang harus I learned from scratch, can just even business relationship. Ngobrol sini sana itu caranya juga berbeda gitu. Hal-hal itu ya, so it was pretty challenging first, yeah.
Okay, so like from here kan, what do you think is as a kita belum explain. So Kayati,
Yeah, you need to introduce the company.
yeah, we have to explain first. Jadi kayak right now Fiona and Kaya is a P is actually artisanal P, right?
Yes,
And it's actually made from Canada. Well, actually explain first about the Kayati to the viewers. Yeah.
Okay, so Kayati, it's a business. We import the teas. We import the teas from Canada and all over the world sebenarnya. And we package in Indo, and then we sell it and we supply to cafes, restaurants, hotels even. And we also have gift packages and hampers as well. So we do B2B and also B2C.
B2B is business to business. B2C is business to consumer. Oh, okay.
Business customers or consumers.
Yeah, or consumers.
Jadi from your from this business itu was the most challenging gitu. Was the most challenging area. Dan kayak biasa kan bisnis kan either B2C atau B2B. Ini langsung dua-duanya gitu. Jadi ya how do you juggle with it, and like what's your challenge, and gimana you overcome it gitu. Especially with in a way so much freedom tapi so much pressure juga gitu.
Yeah. For sure, the pressure is really real. So it's like, yeah, because of that freedom comes the pressure. I want to say we took it step by step. Untungnya from awalnya itu Kayati sebenarnya B2B doang. Kita cuma supply. Jadi kita ambil bulks, we repackage and we supply to restaurants, cafes, and hotels. And then we saw the demand of like, oh ini ada nggak jual yang lebih kecil mau kasih untuk hadiah atau apa gitu. So we're like, ya udah bikin, tapi kecil-kecilan banget gitu. Yeah. We didn't really focus on the B2C. And then actually during the pandemic, jadi pas banget I balik. Itu that was the turning point kenapa kita mendadak bikin gift hampers and gift packages, because pas I balik nggak lama kemudian kan ada pandemic.
Yeah.
And people don't drink hot teas. Mereka nggak minum hot tea kayak yang delivery gitu.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Udah nggak kafe
Ya udah nggak nongkrong ke kafe. Terus kalau mau take away, mereka nggak take away hot tea. Mereka mau minumnya di rumah.
Yeah.
Nah karena itu kita akhirnya decide untuk bikin gift packages gitu. Dan thankfully pas it was in the right time as well gitu. Kita bisa transisi ke B2C. So in that sense, challenges-nya untungnya played out. Untungnya it played out. Tapi I think the biggest challenge for me right now as working in Kayati as marketing is dealing with dealing with business relations sih. Business relations itu yang paling challenging for me because there's a lot of projects yang sekarang juga jelasin dikit. Sekarang kita juga udah B2B-nya expand. We take bigger projects. We take bigger projects from like different bigger companies yang kasih biasanya hampers ke nasabah-nasabah gitu kayak banks. They want to give to their clients atau kayak corporate.
Yeah.
So we shift also to corporate itu yang, and I think that's the biggest challenge right now. It's because with these corporate perusahaan-perusahaan yang lebih besar, mereka lebih banyak layers in terms of approval gitu. Jadi kayak kalau kita mau bikin hampers yang banyak banget layer untuk approvalnya mereka. Jadi kita harus kayak nunggu untuk kayak communicate-nya gitu. From one procurement to the other, from here to there and here.
Jadi paling dari procurement team, terus tiba-tiba head procurement, terus marketing, head marketing, terus
iya
harus ke sana.
Exactly. Nah, untuk ACC-nya itu yang paling susah banget gitu. Nyampe-nyampe kadang. And at the same time, we have to navigate untuk deadline time-nya gitu kan. And anything can go wrong in these, in any business really. Tapi kita kayak harus banyak nunggunya, banyak communicate-nya. Itu yang paling challenging sih. Yeah.
So, how do you divide your work gitu? Kan sebenarnya it's a family business. How do you divide it with your mom and dad gitu? Jadi, how does it function? And
maybe any challenges working under your parents?
Yeah. Of course, there's challenges working with my parents. Pros and cons, as anything are.
Yeah.
The pros are, again, freedom and ada safety net, basically, gitu. Kayak bukan yang bakal dipecat. Have your daughter. Tapi banyak challenges, soalnya banyak nabraknya gitu ya. Karena kayak, I have to treat her as my boss, treat my parents as my boss. But at the same time, as a daughter, there are things that I'm like lebih berani untuk ngomong gitu. Jadi di situ kadang ada jadi family conflict gitu, kayak maksudnya ada personal conflict di situ juga ada gitu.
Like boundaries.
Yeah, and in terms of communication and enggak gitu. Nah, also another challenge I think is my parents expect a lot, but at the same time they give that freedom they give is maybe karakter I juga gitu ya. Kayaknya beda-beda orang, beda-beda karakter. I'm more of the person that lebih gampang itu kalau misalnya ada guide gitu ya. Kayak okay, this is your task, do this, and I would work hard for it. Like I would give 100% or even more. Tapi kalau bisa dikasih freedom ya terserah. I would get overwhelmed sometimes.
Yeah.
Like, I could do this, kayak kebanyakan. And I sometimes end up like feeling really overwhelmed. Like, what do I do? Where do I start?
Yeah.
Taking that first step was really hard for me. And so jadi, I think that's with the challenge working with my parents. And I would ask them like, ini gimana sebenarnya? And then they would say things like, ya terserah. Maksudnya harusnya kamu research lah, tahu lebih banyak ya apapun itu gitu. Again, that can be a pro, but it could also be something that's challenging.
Kan nggak bisa kan, kita as our supervisor kayak, masa kita baru masuk kayak, ini gimana? Supervisor bisa, terserah gitu kan, kita supervisor ada boss lagi kan. Kita tuh kayak, biasanya ada HR, biasanya ada HR gitu. Ini benar-benar your parents is your boss and HR and everything, and mom and dad.
I think also one of the the challenges is that they karena mereka HR dan mereka the whole package gitu, jadinya ada I became complacent kadang. Jadi lebih nggak lebih take it easy juga kadang kayak oh ya udah gitu because it's my parents juga jadi nggak ada drive-nya, and that's the challenge I think that I need at least to come out from myself. I need to really motivate myself, and that's the days yang kayak kadang very challenging. Kayak I have to wake up and like okay, give myself my own goals, and I have to try to push myself to be ambitious and do something new gitu. Instead of like soalnya kan kalau dipikir-pikir ya udah kayak itu udah jalan, semuanya okay gitu like, and there's no pressure from like my parents. Jadi kayaknya ya nggak apa-apa gitu kalau misalnya I don't put extra effort there gitu and focus on what I like to do instead. So I think pushing myself was one of the biggest challenge. Kayak okay, I gotta do it and motivate myself basically. Yeah.
So you're becoming very independent and self-disciplined.
Yeah.
Yeah. In the freedom that you have in your heart.
For sure, yeah.
Aries also kayak kalau udah ambitious juga nanti tambah lama bisnisnya ya segitu aja gitu.
Exactly.
And now that for you to bisa expand kemana-mana itu kan juga constantly kan ya.
Yeah.
To mau more gitu your family.
Yeah.
Do you see yourself working in the same company, like as like a permanent, like in 10 years, do you still see yourself working in the same company?
I think 10 years is a long time. Untuk 10 tahun ke depan sih mungkin I want to see myself somewhere else, something new. Even though kalau misalnya masih in the same company, tapi kayak really totally something different, something new that I can explore.
Yeah.
Kan katanya masih muda juga gitu kan bisa try something different. But I do enjoy what I'm doing now. We're also transitioning kan dari yang tadi awal B2B, small kayak cafes, restaurant, kita ke hampers, B2C itu kayak jual kayak di Tokopedia gitu-gitu, Instagram, and it's more like a one-on-one sale. And now we're also expanding to corporate juga gitu, which is like bigger orders. And so I guess my hope for Kayati juga kayak in the next few years is for us to expand somewhere new. I don't know where it's gonna go. There are goals, tapi ya jalanin aja gitu. Yeah. And I think any opportunity that comes our way we'll take gitu.
So right now, are you still selling just in Indo atau udah have you guys gone like abroad?
Yeah, so right now kita masih di Indo.
Okay.
Yeah.
You say that your experiences makes you more, I would say confident in the future goals atau hurdles you have in.
I think so. I think with any experiences and any setbacks, when we grow from it and become more confident, and juga in my field of work, I have to meet so many different people. Yeah. I go to cafes and restaurants, meet clients, get present the team. Terus juga ke bigger corporate juga harus ngomong sama nih orang business relation, and that builds my confidence a lot. Of course, there are things that I'm still figuring out, and all that. Tapi kalau in terms of confidence, I think it boosts.
Yeah, it is a lot. But I think cause like or of like the kayak I would say younger, I would say our age lah these days, that kayak mau start something new or start career, tapi there's always this setback,
tendency to hesitate, to not like pursue what we
but I realize kayak from you kayak malah ada experiences ya udah jalanin, nanti malah slowly it will just come gitu ya. I keep on working
for sure. Like what they say, kalau misalnya kita overthink, we won't do anything. Cuma di pikiran kayak banyak ketakutan sana. Kayak I think the best thing to do is just take a step. Take one step at a time and see where you go there.
Yeah, okay. And so lastly, what's the biggest advice you would give to young adults for their struggling to find a career in their to pursue? Or even kayak for Audrey now, finding a high school,
finding a school,
or finding a major for you. Or are you set with your?
I'm set. So I'm doing business.
Oh, well, not bad. So any advice so for Audrey and also for those with just finding their careers juga.
Yeah, I think for majors, again, like I guess from my experience, yang nggak semua major bisa you're not gonna you don't have to 100% work one day based on your major. So I think nggak harus benar-benar ketakutan salah pilih atau apa gitu kan. Banyak orang kayak, oh harus yang tepat pokoknya because you have to see 10 years from now.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I feel like sometimes we can't predict what's in the future, right? So again, like what I said, like I think take it one step at a time, what you can see in front of you right now. And if you have passion for business or you can see yourself get enjoying what you do, then take that step gitu. But I think another advice, like don't be afraid to take risks. Don't be afraid to take new opportunities gitu. Because I think especially in business, we need to always take opportunity for any open doors.
Yeah.
Kalau misalnya ada yang datang, ya udah jangan takut untuk kayak kalau misalnya you're heading this way tapi ada opportunity kayak harus belok, ya jangan takut untuk membelok gitu.
Yeah.
Untuk try something new gitu. And not be complacent and not feel comfortable gitu.
Yeah.
Which is kalau anak-anak muda kayak kadang seringnya gitu banyak takutnya, banyak overthinking, ini itu ini sana. I was like that. I was like, I'm the person yang dulu kalau mau exam aja takut banget. Soalnya kayak
That's so me.
yeah, that's so funny. And so scared. It's like I would think so far ahead. I would be like, if I fail this exam, I won't go to a good college, and then I won't get a good paying salary. I won't get a good job. My future will be it'll come down gitu. And I don't think that's the right mindset to have. Like from experience, kayak we will always have setbacks, but those setbacks are the things that's gonna help our character grow and it'll open new opportunities for something that ya siapa tahu kita nggak tahu ke depannya kayak gimana gitu.
Yeah.
That's good advice.
Yeah. They always this fear of at road.
Yeah.
For sure.
Great. Okay. So Audrey, do you have any other things you want to ask?
Maybe like, did you have any like differences working in the States and working here? Because I'm also like looking to work after uni. Was it like hard for you to find a job there, or like the major differences?
Yeah. It's really hard. It's really different.
Yeah.
Pertama pas mau apply jobs, that was a struggle because during my generation waktu kemarin itu, it was during the election, presidential election. So a lot of people got laid off juga sebenarnya. Jadi kayak susah untuk cari kerja waktu itu. And I was blessed and lucky to get the job that I did. But the difference is, bukannya mau saying Indo kayak nggak semaju itu, tapi kalau di US itu they're very organized.
Okay.
And they treat their employees really, with high regard.
Okay.
And pas balik Indo, it was a culture shock. Soalnya kayak the organization is not as significant, I guess. Di sana itu kayak jelas banget teratur. Sekarang, but then again, I work for my family. Pasti ada its own clutter.
Yeah.
Kalau misalnya in bigger corporate sih, I belum pernah experience di Indo yang jadi I can't really 100% compare. Tapi the differences in terms of how people handle a lot of things are so different.
Okay.
And yeah, I think it's something we just have to adjust through and see. Tapi I'm sure you'll do fine.
Voice. I realized kayak one thing I want to actually talk about, because it's something that we haven't tapped into sebenarnya in our podcast, kayak you've been working in the mental health field 1 year in the US, tapi pas balik di Indo, when you're finding jobs juga quite difficult. And you also said the stigma gitu, the stigma of mental health juga. Can you explain more kayak what do you see kayak the difference gitu on the mental health awareness in Indonesia, especially juga I think right now younger people are more open ya. I think our generation is more open, kayak we're having very anxiety, panic attacks, or depression, or even a lot compared to mungkin older generation. Kan kayak kan gini aja gitu. Jadi kayak do you do you see like there's like a difference gitu going back from US and also here in terms of awareness here?
I think there's some major difference right now. You're right. Kayak sekarang orang lebih aware. People want to seek help even more. But I don't think we're in the stage right now where it's really
Kampat seholer gitu.
Iya. Kayak sekarang masih ada tabunya sebenarnya. Maybe not in the younger generation, tapi kayak in maybe our age atau kayak older even like that. The 30s, 40s. Gitu kayak masih agak tabu sebenarnya gitu. It's really different how in the US everything is about mental health awareness. And then pas balik sini kayak you're just kind of forced to keep it all to yourself and have it all together. And
maybe that's why the pressure juga deh. Saya kayak aduh, kalau if I share my feelings gitu, berarti shows you're weak gitu ya. Kok you kayak ini nggak bisa gitu.
Iya. And padahal ya nggak kayak gitu. Padahal kayak it's just like something that we struggle with and we keep it to ourselves biasanya. Dan di sini kayak ngomongnya males lah you atau apa kok. When there's cases where people actually feel depressed and not motivated. But people would just see it as like, you're just lazy. Those kind of things. And it's kind of sad, like we want to help, we want to treat, but at the same time, they're also not seeking the help because they feel like something's wrong with them. And I think that's the stigma yang masih ada di Indo gitu. It's not that something's wrong with you sebenarnya. It's like it's common actually. So many people can relate and can understand exactly what you're going through because at some point in their life, I'm sure they've gone through some mental health challenges juga gitu.
How do you give advice untuk someone who kayak have this kayak I mau visit conflict tapi takut gitu. Like what's your advice gitu?
Yeah, I think it has to come from them. It's a stigma to break boundaries sih. Sebenarnya yang mereka biasanya kebanyakan takut itu karena family gitu. Kayak parentsnya mungkin berasa kurang hianat lah, masa ke dokter, masa seek terapis gitu, kayak bener sakit gitu kesannya kan. But I think it has to come from them to really communicate it well, and especially to their family or whoever's asking gitu, to like, it's okay, it's just me kind of like, honestly, it's kind of like asking for second opinion, like what's gonna happen, like what can help me gitu, basically gitu kan. And sekalian dapat treatment yang benar gitu, like just untuk keluarin. And I guess for any individual that's really feeling the fear of untuk seek help, I think it's important for them to understand that they're not alone and that everyone needs help. And I think it's important for them to understand that therapy is not, it doesn't mean that you're sick and that you are below anyone else or that you are, disabled in a way, but it's that you're just human, you need someone to talk to.
So I guess kayak a healthy mental being juga can affect also how you grow juga ya, in career and yourself juga.
For sure.
Kayak if you want to grow wherever in stage your life gitu, a healthy mental being is very important.
Yeah. And there's this saying, it's like your mental health is also your physical health is as important as your mental health.
Yeah. And people don't take that seriously usually. So in physical, kayak ke gym.
Yeah.
Again, gym is good also for mental health sometimes. But at the same time, mereka nggak benerin yang itunya juga sih.
Okay. Thank you so much for sharing. Thank you for I feel like how kayak the pressures of working with family juga sebenarnya. I think a lot of people kira with family enak ya, tapi sebenarnya there's also so much pros and cons, and juga kayak the importance juga of mental being. And I think for sharing ini juga of failure, kayak kita especially when you're working in such a field that's so different from your your major. Biasanya ada orang kayak takut ya, kayak aduh ini kayak beda banget ini gitu. Nah tapi I think you're sharing with an accent gak apa, yang penting you go step by step and you want to grow. That's what matters. So
thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
so that's end of our podcast, and thank you so much for listening, and please follow us in Katiling Cita Bangsa
Instagram
and YouTube too.
Okay, see you in the next episode.